Injuries, right? These happen at basic training. Some of them are avoidable, some of them aren't. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about how to avoid some of these injuries while at basic training. But without further ado, let's get to it. What is up, guys? Ben Allen back again with another video, and like I just said, we're gonna be talking about how to avoid injuries, right? If you're new here to the channel, be sure to like this video. It really helps us out, pushes the content out there for more people to see, and also most importantly, hit the subscribe button, guys. It takes 2 seconds because we're trying to hit 100,000 subscribers in the next 6 months, and I need your all's help to do it. My name is Ben Allen. I did 4 years active duty, got out in September 2019, did the civilian thing for a little bit, joined the reserves. I've been in the reserves now for about 1.5 years, so I have that reserve knowledge, active duty knowledge. So if you have any questions, hit me up on Instagram at Ben_Allen175. It's the best possible place to reach me, or just comment down your questions in the comment section below. But let's get straight into the video. So injuries, guys, right? There's a lot of stuff that happens at basic training that's avoidable, that isn't avoidable. And just to go over some of the most common injuries, right? You can pretty much sum it up with like overuse injuries, right? So I'm talking about, you know, the knee pain, I'm talking about the ankle pain, the shin splints, the blisters, right? Those are just some of the main injuries that I've seen personally at basic training. I personally sprained my ankle in basic, and I got a shit ton of blisters, both of which I probably could have mitigated myself if I was a little more attentive, and, you know, I took, you know, the time to, like, you know, actually like prep my boots and my shoes and all that stuff. But that's neither here nor there anymore. We're just gonna be talking about how to help mitigate some of these injuries, right? So shin splints, right? I've read that doing calf raises is really good to help strengthen the area, help prevent that. And just, you know, if you have ice or access to ice somewhere at basic training, get a bag, put some ice in there, ice your shin splints. You're probably not gonna have a whole lot of access to that, but it's just a thought, right? Another thing is you can roll your stuff out. Like maybe you don't have a roller, but you have like some firm object, maybe a shampoo bottle, right? I'm just thinking of things that you could find in like your locker at basic training. You know, roll out your shin splints, that'll help too. But most importantly, right, you know, work on your running beforehand. If you want to be prepping months in advance for basic training, guys, if you don't have months in advance, you want to be doing what little work you can to help get used to running, or these things that are going to be causing these shin splints. So, you know, start running, run a shit ton, right? Yeah, you're probably going to get shin splints in the civilian side. You're probably going to, you know, be aching and groaning and all that stuff, but it'll help lessen that to when you actually go to basic training, right? Same with the sprained ankles, same with pulled hamstrings, all that stuff, right, guys? This is stuff you can be doing before basic training, right? So running, lifting, do your hip flexors. I think actually a lot of the injuries that women experience in basic training is, you know, hip issues, right? Whether it's, you know, stress fractures, whatever it may be. I went to basic training with this female. She got hip fractures, you know, and she actually ended up going to my same unit. We were the same platoon, you know, and they were just bad. You don't want to get those. So do your hip flexors, strengthen up that area, the core as well. The core just connects everything. Strong core, you probably won't be going through as much, you know, pain or whatever it may be, right? But if you have access to a gym, I highly recommend you get in there, do your lifts, do your stretches, because that'll help you, and do your running, do sprints, do long distance runs, get used to the feeling of running, guys. And that's stuff you can just do before basic training, right? Now let's talk about stuff you can do at basic training, right? You can get a good night's rest, right? As soon as you get back to the bay, do whatever hygiene stuff you need to do and go to bed. Get as much sleep as possible. A rested body is going to be less prone to injuries than somebody who isn't rested. They're sleepy, because what happens when you're sleepy, right? You're kind of wary, you're not paying attention as much, you know, you're not looking at your surroundings, and that's another thing. Look at your surroundings when you're marching, walking, running, rucking, whatever you're doing at basic training. Pay attention to your surroundings. Check the ground for potholes, check the ground for loose gravel you could slip on, whatever it may be. Be very attentive, right? And, you know, to be attentive, you need your rest. Go to sleep at a reasonable time. Try and get as much of it as you can. When you go to the DFAC, you know, get as much of like the healthy foods as you can. Drink milk. I know it sounds very childish, right? But you need to drink your milk. You know, It's vitamin D, helps the bones, get your calcium from orange juice, oranges, whatever. Eat fruits, vegetables, leafy greens, protein, guys. Get your complex carbs. All of this will help to fuel your body and, you know, make you stronger and help grow with you at basic training, right? So those are two things right there: sleep, food, and then also 3, I guess, be attentive of your surroundings. And this one's very common, and you're gonna hear a lot of medics say this to you throughout your time in the military, but drink your water. Drinking water is probably one of the best things you can do for your body. Even if you're not a water drinker, drink your water, pound it back, stay hydrated, because this will help your body out. A non-hydrated body is not going to be a fully functional body. The infantry would say otherwise. If you get it, if you know, you know. But drinking water will help tremendously as well. So those are all for like overuse injuries and just like overall, like, you know, hey, like, you know, keep your body healthy while at basic training, right? Those are very basic things that you can do right off the bat. Now, stretching, right? You can stretch at basic training as well. Once you get off time, you know, do your hamstring stretches, you know, try and do some hip flexors, find some heavy things in the bay that you can, like, you know, do those hip flexor stretches with, you know, toe touches, you know, sit on the ground, extend your legs out, touch your toes, you know, really work out the hamstrings. Do your calf raises. If you can find an elevated area to do calf raises on, awesome, do them there. You probably won't get access to a gym, but you can do a lot of body weight stuff. Do some crunches, get the core strong. It'll definitely help. So another thing that you can do, right? Blisters. Blisters are going to be a big thing. I saw a lot of people get blisters. I had them myself personally. Not a fun time. Honestly, I think I would take a sprained ankle over blisters anytime. And that's on me, right? Some of the things you can do to mitigate blisters as well is make sure your boots or shoes, whatever it may be, fit perfectly, right? They're not too loose, they're not too tight, because you're going to be doing some long ruck marches, guys. After a long ruck march, your feet are going to be killing you, I'm telling you. And if you don't have the right size boots, shoes, whatever on these long distance runs, you're going to develop blisters. I had a huge old blood blister on my foot. That thing hurt. And you're going to be super tempted to pop these things, but be very careful when doing that, right? You want to make sure you're using something sterile, and, you know, probably just don't do it at all, if at all avoidable, because, you know, if you don't change your socks, you know, frequently, if you're not like the best, most hygienic person, these things can get infected, right? You got to change your socks constantly if you do pop these blisters, whatever it may be, right? So to avoid this, again, make sure your stuff fits, and you can buy moleskin at the little shopette. Moleskin is like this tape that you can put on these blisters, and it helps stop the rubbing and the friction in those areas. I highly recommend it. As well as some people, I actually did this, you know, they're wearing their green army issued socks, right, and their boots, whatever issued socks you have, right? But then they take their dress uniform socks and they put those over their green socks to give that extra layer of protection. That actually did work for me, so I do recommend trying that, but you do not want to have blisters. I remember it was pretty painful to the point where, like, it hurt to walk, but you have to power through, right? And this is segueing into the next part of this video, where what happens, you know, if you're injured to the point where you can't go on or whatever. A few things can happen, right? You can either get, you know, chaptered out, you can get medically retired, depending on the severity of the injury, or medically separated, all that stuff, or you can be recycled, right? I think recycled is the lesser of those, because you don't want to get kicked out of basic training. You want to get being medically retired could be, you know, good depending on how you look at it, but I'd rather just get recycled, heal up, and try again. And a lot of people, this happens to a lot, right? So they get recycled, and, you know, they're there for way longer than they want to be. So a lot of people are like, oh, don't go to sick call, you know, whatever, like, you're a bitch. And it's going to sick call doesn't make you a bitch, but I would say know your limitations, know what you can handle, know what your body can handle, and if you can push on, but if not, go to sick call, take the recycle if you want, but you're gonna be there for an extended period of time. Some people are there, like, healing for, like, you know, 3 weeks to a month, 2 months. It depends on the injury, right? And then another illness starts to set in, right? Like depression. You know, you have these mental illnesses that start becoming a thing because you're lonely, your buddies have already graduated, you're just there stuck, you know, healing up and all that type of stuff, right? You don't want that to happen. That's shitty. But, you know, sometimes it's unavoidable. So what I say to that, if you're having those thoughts of, like, you know, down, feeling sad, all that stuff, is just remember why you started and let that be your focal point. Stay focused, and just remember that it could be worse, right? You could have been kicked out of the military. And to some people, being in the military is their dream, right? So it saves them you know, some heartache just by staying focused and positive on the whole situation. I do recommend that if you can, but I know it doesn't work that way for a lot of people. It's just, you know, some that are really strong-minded that can persevere through those hardships. But that's just something to think about, right? So those are some of the things that can happen should you incur an injury that just is, like, you know, outstanding and it causes you to be recycled and or kicked out of the military, right? And that's pretty much the video, guys. We talked about the overuse injuries, right? Like the ankles, the shins, the hips, the lower back, the knees. All of these are pretty prominent in the military. You'll hear a lot of people talk about, oh, my knees hurt, oh, everything hurts, my lower back, right? And it happens. It does happen. Overuse is a thing. Tendonitis, arthritis, these things are pretty prevalent in the military. But again, do these things right, whether it's stretching, drinking water, eating every calorie available to you at basic training, getting sleep. You know, I think I already said stretching, but we'll say it again because stretching is important. It's going to be key here, guys. Just do all of these things to help mitigate all of these issues that are going to be, you know, possibly happening to you at basic training. I implemented some of these things myself, especially the sock over the sock for the blisters. Definitely helped. And obviously I didn't hit on every possible injury at basic training, right? These are some of the biggest injuries at basic training, so keep that in mind. If I missed anything important, you know, drop it down in the comment section. I really appreciate it. But thank y'all for tuning into this video. I really do appreciate it. Be sure to like this video if you haven't already. It really helps us out, guys. It takes 2 seconds to click the button, but most importantly, we're trying to hit 100K in the next 6 months, so I need y'all to subscribe to this video right now. Show the support. I go live every Wednesday, drop a new video every Friday, and just recently started doing like basic training reactions, where I react to like a basic training video, whether it's Army basic training, Marine boot camp, whatever it may be. I do those as well, so stay on the lookout for that. If you need help with any other questions whatsoever, follow me on my Instagram at Ben_Allen175. It's the best possible place to reach me. I try to respond to everybody on there, so feel free to reach out. But with all that said, thank y'all for tuning in. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Later.